Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to CITCA panel. I'm very excited to be here and represent the Chicago International Trade Commissioners Association. My name is Ginta Rubin. I'm a current president of the association, and I'm pleased to represent two of my dear colleagues, Karla Orozco Toledano. She's a representative of Consul General of Mexico in Chicago since October 2019. And she's done that since her Master's of International Affairs from London School of Economics and Political Science since 2011. So she's been focusing and promoting the Mexico economic development and tourist affairs. I also want to welcome Martine Hèbert. She is the representative and delegate of Quebec in Chicago, and her post started July 29, 2019. So it looks like the two ladies arrived about the same time last year. What a timing. She is an experienced manager and recognized communicator with nearly 30 years in the public and government affairs and economic development. Her experience includes serving as a senior vice president of national spokesperson for Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses, which is a pan-Canadian organization representing small, medium businesses from 2010-2019 until she took the office here in Chicago. She's also a very published author or book of Less Secrets to Lobbying and has masters in economics. Welcome, ladies, to a panel, which is a hybrid panel in today. I'm here in Skokie in a Science and Technology Center. My dear colleague Hèbert, she is in Quebec, still there due to lack of traveling. And I have Karla Toledano, she's in Chicago. Look at that, we all in the same place at the same time thanks to technology. So thank you, SelectChicago, for having us here, and I would like to dive into our program that will talk about USCMA, or NAFTA 2.0, which I'm very excited to hear what both sides of our US have to say, and we will start with Mexico and work all the way to Canada. Karla, floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I see that you will be showing my presentation, right? Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, SelectChicago, for providing this platform to talk about USMCA, especially from a Mexican perspective. And thanks to Rubin, president of Chicago International Trade Commissioners Association, for putting this panel together. Next slide, please. Mm-hmm. Well, here you can see what happened between NAFTA and the USMCA. It was signed in November 2018, and it entered into force 1st of July of last year. This agreement has 34 chapters. In this case, 10 are new chapters. It includes custom and trade facilitation, sectoral annexes, digital trade, labor, environment, small and medium-sized enterprises, competitiveness, anti-corruption, good regulatory practices, and macroeconomic policies. These are the new chapters. The other 24 were modernized. It was very important for us to maintain free trade and also foster the North American integration. Can you go to the next slide, please? I will try, for the sake of time, just to explain some of the chapters that we think are relevant for this conversation. For example, for the rules of origin, we see the automotive industry. 3 points that I would like to highlight is, for example, that it requires more vehicles parts to be made by workers earning at least $16 an hour. This measure will face it during the first 5 years after the USMCA ratification. It also requires 75% of the vehicle parts to be made in one of the 3 countries in order to remain free from tariffs when moving between the 3 signatories countries. And the other one is the steel and aluminum, that 70% has to be purchased between among the three countries. In this case, the USMCA creates a new incentive to build cars and trucks in North America. In the case of customs and trade facilitation, the reduction of costs derived from customs operations, it facilitates and expedites the clearance of goods and customs and make administrative processes more transparent. This, of course, is in order to increase competitiveness among the three countries. Another important chapter is intellectual property, because it gives certainty to innovation. It maintains patent and data protection for innovators for 10 years, warranties and extends copyright protections, and strengthens protection for geographic indications. In this agreement, we will ensure the enforcement of intellectual property rights. The other one is digital trade, a very important one. It promotes the growth of digital commerce while strengthening the protection of consumer data. That nowadays we know it's very important. It also guarantees the free flow of data and does not impose tariffs, customs duties, or other tariffs on digital goods. Next one, please. One that was a very important chapter for Mexico was the labor one. In this case, it implements internationally recognized labor rights. It addresses violence workers may face. It also prohibits imports of goods produced with forced or child labor. In this case, Mexico required to pass a legislation that improves the collective bargaining capabilities of labor unions. And we did that in order, of course, to comply with USMCA, but also because of our new administration priorities. Another chapter, it's a new chapter, environmental protection. Among other things, it includes the protection against ozone depletion substances and ship pollution. And it has the commitment to combat illegal wildfire and trade and marine litter. This is a central part of the agreement, as well as the enforcement. It also recognized 7 multilateral environmental agreements. That was a very successful negotiation in this case. Another important chapter and a new one is the small and medium enterprises. It creates a committee that will integrate the supply chain of it will integrate the small and medium enterprises to the global supply chain. It strengthens competitiveness and open business opportunities. And this, it will have an annual meeting with a trilateral SMEs dialogue. And finally, I would like to just mention some things about the dispute settlement mechanism chapter. It has 3 primary dispute settlement mechanisms. One is country-to-country resolution, that will involve complaints between the USMCA member states. The second one is to manage trade remedies like anti-dumping. The third mechanism, known as investor-state dispute settlement, wherein multinational corporations are enabled to complain against one of the 3 governments for discriminatory policies. Next one, please. Now I will give you the Mexican perspective of why we think the North American partnership has been and it continued to be very successful. Next one, please. Okay, here you can see some data. For example, NAFTA created one of the most competitive and dynamic regions in the world. Population-wise, we are almost 500 million people and account for 6.5% of the world population. By gross domestic product, it's $26 trillion and account for 18.3% of the world's GDP. We are the second largest global economy. The foreign direct investment, we account for 23.1% of the world foreign direct investment, and we're the first recipient in the world. Trade, it accounts for $6 trillion, and the market share is like 15.9% of global trade. We are the second global exporter. And also it's important to know that intra-trade.
Well, since Mexico is having difficulties, I want to welcome then Martine. Maybe you could take off from the presentations where Karla left off and give perspective from our northern neighbor, Canada, of what the USCMA done for these three countries, mostly of Canada and US, from your perspective.
The beauty of technology, which is reminding us that it's still important to and it's still nice, to have face-to-face meetings and to be able to see each other. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Quebec and the Midwest and how we've been prospering together for more than 100 years now. And actually, our office in Chicago has been there for the past 50 years. So it's a very long relationship that we have with the Midwest. So can you please switch the slide? So, the partnership between Quebec and the US has been a very successful model for many years now. And the total of what has been traded between Quebec and the US averages $80 billion in 2019. So nearly 25% of that amount is with the Midwest. Of course, the second largest free trade agreement in the world, as the previous speaker exposed, is reducing barriers to trade. So it also translates into a lot of advantages for doing business with Quebec businesses, with Quebec suppliers, for American companies. Like we are very cost efficient and competitive. We offer very cost efficient and competitive prices. We offer innovative, creative, and quality products. We are a trusted business partner, and this is really important because we saw with the COVID that it's really important to be able to continue to supply and to continue to exchange during such a period. So also, Quebec companies are really committed to meeting client needs. And of course, it's a transportation hub, easily accessible by water, air, rail, and road, because as you know, we are connected through the St. Lawrence River to the Great Lakes. Next slide, please. So, of course, Quebec and US, we have a unique trade relationship. More than 9 million Americans' jobs depend on trade and investment with Canada, including with Quebec, while around a third of all goods imported by Quebec come from the United States. So this is where we see the importance and how the importance of the USMCA translates into the day-to-day, of all of our populations. Quebec actually buys more goods from the US than from China, Mexico, Germany, UK, Brazil, France, Italy, and Japan combined all together. So we are a very good client of the United States also. More than 12,000 Quebec-owned companies do business in the US, creating jobs and also driving innovation, as you know. We export more than $11 billion in goods in the Midwest. It's a 73% increase since 2010. So what we've been seeing over the past decade is that the trade between Quebec and US has been increasing, on both sides of the borders. Next slide, please. If we look at Chicagoland, we also see there a winning partnership. In fact, bilateral trade between Quebec and Illinois reached more than $3 billion in 2019, and it was, $2.5 billion for Indiana, $1 billion for Wisconsin. So, as you see, again, even with major states of the Midwest, we have a really strong relationship. Area companies such as Kraft, Heinz, Abbott, Mondelez all have operations in Quebec. We also have Quebec companies that are in the Midwest, including in Chicagoland, like CN, Bombardier, Saputo, WS Global, Bank of Montreal. They are all well established in the Midwest and creating jobs and creating wealth there. So also, of course, as I said earlier, with the Great Lakes and St. Lawrence economic region where we are connected all together, this area represents the third largest economy in the world in terms of GDP. So it's very important for us too. Next slide, please. If you look at Quebec's advantage, well, I think that we are really well positioned and integrated into the US and Midwest market with a stable business environment, embracing the benefits of the new USMCA, and especially with what we've seen during this pandemic episode that we are going through right now. It's very important because the integration of our economies have showed us the importance of securing our supply chains. And I think that this is one big lesson that companies in both our economies are experiencing with the situation we are going with right now, is that we are reliable partners, and the reshoring that is going to happen, I think it's going to be beneficial for both our economies, including the Mexican economy also. And so I think it's really important. Quebec provides also a concentration of expertise and a collaborative advantage built by a highly educated, multilingual, and entrepreneurial workforce. And of course, we have key industrial sectors who are in a very strong position. And Quebec government's policies help these industries remain innovative, competitive in the evolving and dynamic business climate. And I think that this is both to the advantage of both of our economies. Next slide, please. Well, we have thousands of American businesses who turn to Quebec suppliers to boost their success at the moment that we speak. We have many key sectors where our economies are either really, really well integrated or really promising sectors of future trade for both of our economies. Let's think about electric transportation, for example. As you know, Quebec's electricity is known worldwide because we are one of the major producers of green electricity, what we say, or clean electricity. So the government of Quebec has invested a lot into developing the electric transportation industry. We have actually around 150 companies right now that employs more than 6,000 workers into the development of electric vehicles. And of course, our vehicles, as you know, are designed to withstand diverse climate conditions, including really, really harsh winter conditions, because as you know, winters are very cold in Quebec. So also in aerospace, we have around 200 aerospace companies and a vast network of equipment manufacturers and major maintenance, repair, overall service providers. And actually, we are the third largest aerospace cluster in the world, with annual sales of more than $11.5 billion. Next slide, please. Just a second. Sorry. So same thing for ICT and digital media. What we saw with the crisis also is that technologies are going to continue to be a major aspect of industrial development. So we have a recognized expertise both in the development of innovative product and in manufacturing. We have more than 175,000 specialists in Quebec working in diverse fields such as software development, multimedia, optics, photonics, consulting services, and telecommunications. So this is another major sector where the USMCA it will facilitate the exchanges with American companies to both the benefits of our economies. Agri-food, of course, we saw with this crisis also that it's really important to be able to rely on partners the USMCA for in terms of agri-food products. So, and that includes also our Mexican friends. But you know, we also have a strong relationship into agri-food business with the USMCA and with the USA. And as you know, animal welfare, traceability, and food safety in Quebec, due to Canada's food regulation, is known worldwide for its stringent standards. So again, we are a reliable and secure partner in that field. Artificial intelligence, what we see also with what has been going on with the COVID, it boosted the need for artificial intelligence on many industries, and Quebec is actually, we are recognized as a world leader in deep learning research. We have world-known researchers in Montreal, like Yoshua Bengio, for example. So that makes Quebec AI solutions adapted to specific industries, and we are able to deliver tangible business outcomes on that front. Next slide, please. Same thing for the construction business, the construction industry, life science, and clean tech industries, who are also three other industries who are, called to grow with the new USMCA and the new needs that are emerging from the pandemic that we are going on. So I will, since I'm taking a lot of time, I will skip let you because people will have access to the presentation. So I will let people maybe read the slides if they are interested. Next slide, please. Well, we also have, Quebec is also promoting Quebec as an investment destination, and this is very important. As we have a full service helping companies assessing the competitive advantage that they will derive from investing in Quebec, and we offer full support with securing whether it's a site partners, tax credit, financing, and we also provide strategic intelligence to businesses who want to invest in Quebec. And this is also part of the free trade, because, as I said since the beginning, our economies are very well integrated. So we have businesses who have business places in the three countries, or so it's very important also for us to be able to attract investment to maximize the benefits of the USMCA. I would say that there are 5 top industry sectors in Quebec to invest: software and gaming, industrial production, AI, agri-food, and medical biotech are all sectors that are very are top industry sectors to be investing. Next slide, please. Quebec is also a cost-effective location. We have low mandatory employers' benefits, low cost of living, great quality of life, affordable and high-skilled, multilingual. That's important because we speak French and English, and also a little bit of Spanish sometimes. So high-skilled multilingual workforce, low corporate tax rate, advantageous exchange rate, and a competitive operating costs. Of course, electricity rates are very low here, but also in terms of labor, rent, location, etc., etc. Next slide, please. So if you want to explore how Quebec suppliers can contribute to the success, of your organization or your company, please feel free to contact us. The next this slide and the next slide is presenting, the emails and the phone numbers of our team in Chicago. So please feel free to give us a call and to use our services. So this is it. I just wanted to illustrate. I think that with my presentation, I really wanted to illustrate the fact that it's practically speaking, I mean, the USMCA means a lot for both of our economies and for in many industries. And I think that despite the situation that we are going through right now, there are many ways of that we can continue to prosper together. And thank you very much.
That was very insightful, and yay for technology. It worked well. I want to point it out to viewers and everyone who is tuned in. These presentations will be available to you, uploaded in the program website for anyone's use and information. We got cut off, Karla, and us here. You were talking about interest in very well done presentation of the numbers and intricacy between U.S. and Mexico in terms of economies and the numbers. I will ask you a few questions from your presentation, so you will have ability to answer, Karla, what you were not able to finish with the little glimpses and glitches that we had here today. In your opinion, did the new NAFTA 2.0, which in my opinion they should have kept the name, just add 2.0 to it instead of changing, but who else cares, right? Do you think the new agreement made it business easier between United States and Mexico?
Hi, hello. Yes, actually, regarding the name, we have like 3 names. Of course, now that we are talking in English, is USMCA, but in Spanish is TEMEC, and of course, Canada has their own name, CUSMA. So yeah, it's a little bit complicated in that sense. Regarding your question, yes, I think that this will definitely integrate more the businesses, especially like the small ones. There are certain additions like the chapter regarding the SMEs, and also like environment and labor could bring important direct and indirect results beyond just trade, seen as volume and money. I mean, with this, I mean that there is also a social dimension behind this. For example, the creation of more better paid jobs, inclusion of small businesses into bigger pictures and supply chain, and also considering other variables such as environmental footprint of trade. As Martine also explained, I think that another important thing that was considered in this agreement is digital trade. It is undeniable the economic growth and opportunities provided by digital trade, e-commerce, artificial intelligence. I mean, nowadays, especially with everything that has been going on. This chapter addition provides the framework to first promote consumer confidence in digital trade, and second, to avoid unnecessary barriers to its use and development. Also, this chapter also is like the best ways toward the democratization of trade, so everyone can feel the benefits of this new free trade agreement. Thank you.
Especially for United States and Mexico, was one of the largest industry is car manufacturing and car parts industry. And their flaws of NAFTA was the double taxation when parts crosses back and forth the borders for minor adjustments, which drove parts and cost of the cars much higher. Did USCMA address that issue?
Yes, I mean, that's a very important question because we produce together to compete globally. For example, the Mexico exports to the US, the share of the cars, it's 10%, but it is important to know that these cars that are export to the US have 38% of US content. So we are very integrated. Of course, there has been, especially, for example, as I'm not sure if you had the opportunity to listen to my presentation. In the case of labor, labor was a very important issue, especially in the automotive industry. And I think that it brings opportunities to the industry, especially to produce in the region. There has been a lot of opportunities for other countries to come to Mexico and invest, to get benefits from the from NAFTA, but especially now with the USMCA, because the percentage of value that has to be considered in order to apply for the free trade, it's higher. So definitely it will bring more competitiveness to the region if, I mean, that's undeniable.
Glad to hear, glad to hear. Similar situation, different industry, Martine. Just a few days ago, US backed off from imposing 10% duties on aluminum coming from Canada. And I did tune in one of the webinars of World Trade Organization talking of the numbers that are regarding aluminum and trade. And there was disagreement between DC and Canada. Economic development had on even the numbers, how much being imported, exported, and the dumping of certain countries, not going to be mentioned here. How would these tariffs affect the relationship between Canada, especially for US consumers?
Well, of course, it's never a good thing to have a commercial dispute like that. Right at the beginning of a new free trade agreement, but fortunately, I think that we were able to get rid of the tariffs because, as you mentioned, it is important, and there's a fact. I think that the pandemic had changed the way that aluminum was traded between the two countries, so it created distortions in the numbers. But let's take a figure which will speak to everybody. In the US, businesses consume 6 million tons of aluminum every year, while US aluminum companies produce only 1 million tons. So it's, there's a big discrepancy. And as you know, Quebec is one of the major producers in terms of aluminum. So this kind of dispute has an impact on the day-to-day life of the consumers, because when we talk about aluminum, let's say, for example, the Coca-Cola can that you're drinking or whatever. I mean, everything, there's aluminum in a lot of things. So beverages industry, automotive industry, etc. So of course, it was a big concern, not only for our aluminum producers, but also for many industries in the United States, because it would have increased their producing costs. And at the time where we are going through economic disruptions because of the pandemic, it's a good thing that we've reached an agreement on this one.
Some things were addressed in the new agreement. Some things were forgotten, as 20% tariffs on some sandalwood from Canada. In the perfect world, do you think they did a great job, or there's more things to be done from your point of view?
Well, of course, there's always room for improvement, and I think that all the negotiations we've been through with the USMCA, on many were discussed, and negotiations took a long time, but we made it together, and I think that the fact that we have this new USMCA free trade agreement between our three countries is very important, and it shows that if we continue to work together, if we continue to discuss, if we continue to do business together, I think it's the benefit of all of our three economies, and that's a fact. I mean, it's our economies are so integrated, and we are seeing, especially with the pandemic, it's really important to secure our supply chains. We saw many industries saw the importance of securing the supply chains, because and the reshoring of the production. They saw that maybe it's not a good idea anymore to produce some of your products in other countries who are much more far. So we have to. I think that the USMCA is the opportunity for us to develop more, and to put more efforts into this continental approach in many industries.
Well, Karla, what about from your perspective?
Yes, I think that as Martine explained, of course, there is always room for improvement. I mean, in the beginning, I think that one of the lessons we learned was like to imagine a world without the North American Free Trade Agreement was an interesting exercise. We realized that we just cannot afford not having an agreement. So it was crucial to reaffirm our commitment towards it, creating certainty and transparency, especially nowadays. And definitely building up on NAFTA marked a new area for North American integration. I mean, I know my sounds like cliche, but we are stronger together, definitely, especially nowadays. Uh, I think that we also need like these kind of platforms to socialize information because there are so many things that people don't know. And perhaps like thanks to these initiatives and others, especially at all levels, it's very important to share and disseminate this information to so everyone can feel the benefits. And also like trying to talk about what Martina said about the pandemic and what we realize is that USMCA will be a key factor in the economic recovery of the three countries, as it will contribute to the relocation, to the nearshoring production, and decoupling of some supply chains. We produce together to compete globally and have more supply chain independence in this case as a region. Some of the questions that companies are trying to answer, for example, is how to build a resilient and yet competitive global value chain.
Those are great points. And I have one more question for both of you from the previous panel. There is a movement, as you mentioned, Karla, reshoring, bringing more manufacturing, being there here in the United States, in Canada, Quebec, Mexico. However, on the other hand, they're predicting in the next couple of years for indirect investment to plummet by 30%. That's third. If you take away a third of my salary, I can't survive. So question from macro level, how do you see these two statements align if I'm increasing manufacturing, building it up, but not putting foreign direct investment, be that in Canada, US, and Mexico, would the agreement or adjustment to agreement would help to alter any of those statements?
Karla, you want to go first?
That's an interesting one. Well, yeah, definitely. I think that macroeconomics here played an important role. Of course, this agreement, and actually there is a chapter in the USMCA of macroeconomics. So I think that as long as the conversation goes between the three governments at the macroeconomic level, that will always help. Of course, there are also politics involved. You're here in the US, it's an election year. In the case of Mexico, we started the negotiation with one administration and finished it with another one. So communication in that sense, I think it's very important. I also had the experience to be in China, posted a couple of years ago. And for example, the investment that might come from other countries such as Japan and China might be important also for the region. They were paying a lot of attention of the process of the negotiation of the USMCA. And that's for one side, like new investment. But we already have like the tools and the production in place. We just need to find a way to be more productive. In Mexico, of course, we are like the kings of manufacture in North America in that sense. But we have to find a way to be more productive. That's where also like technology comes into place, and where other like the digital economy will help. But we already have also like the established factories and everything to try to to build something. And of course, we are trying to attract investment for other countries beyond the region.
Well, I think that I agree with Karla, and I won't repeat what she said, but in terms of I think that one of the key is to continue to look at our productivity, increase the productivity, put some efforts into innovation, and there's a lot of things in the USMCA that will allow both our three countries to continue to invest into those fields, and I think that it's key to the future. So and that it would maybe compensate for any other decrease or whatever in investment, because I think that I really think that the key is there, making sure that our businesses will be more productive, will stay competitive, and will be very innovative, because what we saw with the pandemic is that also that the businesses who are doing well right now and who are the most resilient are the most innovative and the most flexible organizations. So I think that we have everything within the USMCA agreement to make our companies be able to continue to innovate and be more productive.
Well, ladies, Karla, you've been 10 years with economic. Martine, you've been for 30 years. In the perfect world, if both of you would have a seat at the next negotiations table of USCMA, what two things you would make the priority to be heard?
That's a $50,000 question, as we say, as an expression here. Well, I think that as I said, it's you can never reach perfection into these kind of negotiations. I mean, there's always going to be something that from one perspective is not going to be perfect, but it's going to be good from the other perspective. So I think that one of my goals, if I would sit at the negotiation table, is to get to an agreement. Because once you have the agreement, then you can start from there and start building on this. So I would have one priority is to get the agreement, and with the more win-win for everybody into it. But saying that, living with the fact, and even for my country, living with the fact that I will know that it's not perfect, because nothing is perfect, well, almost nothing.
Yeah, I agree in the sense that let's have this done first, and from there we can continue. That's one of the lessons that I said before. But I mean, also, I was very glad to see other dimensions in the agreement, as I explained, like the social dimension and environmental dimension, like taking into consideration other issues besides trade. I guess that the context when the agreements are negotiated change. Like 2 decades ago was a complete different world. Now it's a complete different world, especially also with everything that is going with the pandemic. For example, just to be able to sit in one place, the decision makers, to try to figure out what is essential. That's something that happened now with the pandemic, and just try to figure out what industries are essential. So as long as we can keep open communication channels, it's hard. It's three actors trying to do their best for their domestic economy, and also for the regional economy.
Yeah, and dealing with the reality, with the fact that our economies are really, really integrated. So this is, and this is something that cannot be just, just disappear tomorrow morning. I mean, it's a fact. And so I think that, as long as we have an agreement, we can start from there and we can continue to build on this agreement. And we've been very happy about that.
And beyond business, I mean, we're integrated by family, we're integrated by everything. So perhaps avocado toast that you are going to have for dinner will come from Mexico. The berries that you have for breakfast come from Mexico. I mean,
yes, or even they were picked by Mexican workers in Quebec. You know, the salad we're gonna have tonight and the cucumbers from Quebec were picked by Mexican workers who came in our fields to pick it up. So.
Well, as anything in life, collaboration is the key. And working together, it definitely makes us stronger, not weaker. No one stands on their own 2 feet by themselves and calling a victory. I think if you agree with me, ladies, for what I heard you saying, this agreement definitely was a win for all 3 countries, and anything but gets better if we open communications lines and continue to collaborate and bringing things that maybe it was an oversight or left behind, some of the tariffs for sandalwood, maybe a better way of doing tariffs or eliminating them, preventing the dumping of some of the materials to keep the economy growth and strong between 3 of us. Any last words you would say to policymakers, besides congratulations of getting this through after 25 years of non-review? Would you like to say your office is from Quebec/Canada standpoint and Mexico?
Well, I think that what I would say is that, I think that, as I said a couple of times, this pandemic showed us that we are stronger together and that we have a clear advantage to continue to work together as this has shown us how important our partnership is and how reliable and secure partners we are for one another. So I think that we are certainly committed at the Quebec delegation in Chicago to continue to do so. So thank you. And thank you for this opportunity, Ginta, and all the organization. It was really nice talking to you.
Yeah, I think I will say, of course, congratulations. It wasn't a very easy task, but at the end, it was done. And now we have something to work with it. So that's something very good. Let's see, let's revise it like in 6 years and see what we can do to improve it, because at the end, where there's the will, everything can happen in that sense. So let's hope that we can continue working together at any level. So I'm very glad to be here. Thank you very much to SelectChicago and to Ginta to put this together, of course, with some technical issues, but thank you very much to, we need to improvise and do everything. It's the perks of the technology. But thank you very much. And now the Consul General of Mexico in Chicago is the entity in charge of the promotion of Mexican businesses and also tourism. So at the end of the presentation that you will share, there is my information as well as information from the Mexican Ministry of Economy. If you have any technical questions, they open this assistant desk, so you can write to them. And thanks again, and let's keep drinking Mexican beer and
cerveza, la cerveza.
Thank you so much, ladies. This was delightful hour spent, and we covered a lot in this hour, from good things of USCMA. I still have an issue with that name. I think they should have kept NAFTA 2.0, which makes sense. But even with the technical difficulties, we managed to cover a lot of grounds. I want to thank SelectChicago for hosting us for this CITCA panel. And CITCA is welcoming all the over 180 countries represented here in Midwest, including Quebec, Canada, Mexico, and to name the few. We are welcome any businesses to reach out to us. We are more than glad to connect with any of you. Presentations will be uploaded on the program website as well. CITCA.org is another great way to connect with all of the offices for foreign representatives, and current people who could answer all your questions. Me, myself, is available at any time if you have any questions regarding the foreign trade and investment. As the president of CITCA, I gladly to answer your questions. Ladies, thank you, and look forward to see you in Chicago when the dust settles. And we're definitely going to have a good times and continue business in the positive way. Thank you.
Great. And I'm just going to come up and wrap for the day. And so thank you, ladies. Thank you, Ginta, for a wonderful panel today. And thank you to Martine and to Karla with Mexico. I just want to take 2 minutes of your time because this was a great panel. We went through a lot of the nuts and the bolts about setting up operations in the United States, especially as it relates to accounting. We went through how important it is to have a local guide. Over the next week, we'll be doing some post-production, putting these up on the virtual event portal, and we're really excited on how well last week's sessions are up. Give us a couple days, and you'll be able to see the reshoring videos we had last week. Next week is really going to be exciting as well. We're going to be broadcasting from the Monadnock building in downtown Chicago, and we're going to be having the first of a series of pitch sessions. So we have the country of Estonia is bringing 3 businesses that are going to be virtually pitching about their scale-up opportunities in the United States, looking for resources. We have the Italian Trade Office talking about the successes they've had with roughly 24 different businesses a year come to the United States through their office. We also are going to be talking immigration. Immigration is always a fun topic here at SelectChicago. Don Gardner, who has been presenting with Ginta earlier this summer, are going to talk about the things that have changed in the last 60 days with immigration. We'll have a keynote about venture equity, what that looks like with Mike Moyer with Slicing Pie. And then the last, we actually have an Australian startup company that's really looking for the next round of their funding. So next Wednesday is going to be another fun-packed day. It's going to start a little bit earlier so the people on Estonia can be finishing out their day as we begin ours. And so I did want to say thank you to Leslie Murphy with the Village of Skokie, who arranged our opportunity to present today at the Illinois Science and Technology Park. And so we look forward to seeing you next week. And until then, I guess, auf Wiedersehen.
Good day.